Well, happy 2024, everybody, and welcome back to the SEQTEK Podcast. It is so good to see you. Coming out of his long, dark wizard run is the new protagonist, Ken Williams.
That's right.
How are you, my man?
I'm doing well. You know, we've been out for a while with all the holidays, and, I'm glad to be back, glad to get talking about some of these issues again and some of these topics. I'm doing really well. Excited for the new year. Excited for what's in store for us professionally and as well as personally. How about you? I know you just have a ton of stuff going on. How have you been doing?
Oh, I'm good, Ken. I'm good. Listen, I've got a baby due. It was supposed to be here the 6th. It's the 9th, and first baby. It's been an interesting cycle because up until literally 2 weeks ago, every time we've gone to a baby appointment, they kept saying the due date is the 6th.
Yeah.
In my world, when you say due, right? Like if we were going to go to our supervisor and the supervisor's like, hey, something's due on the 6th.
Yeah. And
I was like, cool, I'll provide that 2 weeks before the 6th. On the 6th or 2 weeks after. It'd be like, what world are we living in, right?
That's right.
I did not.
We need to change that terminology, right?
We do, because I did not know, literally up until 2 weeks ago, that due was so arbitrary in baby world. And so we're sitting in like an appointment, it's like 4 or 5 days of the 6th, and they're just like, okay, take your time. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, hey guys, the 6th is like 5 days away. Like, what's our plan here? And that's when I learned that due dates are not real.
Need to rename it like ABD, estimated, or EBD, estimated birthday.
Yeah. Right? That's a good name. That would have told me this is arbitrary.
We're just right? Picking a day, and it's going to be sometime around in there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the good feelings are high.
100%.
And you're a lot of anticipation.
Yeah.
And speaking of anticipation, I've been anticipating coming back and talking to you. What do we have to talk about today?
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad to have you back. Coming into, out of 2023, everything is consumed by AI.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so a big part of preparation for this podcast, I go to every major news outlet and just figure out what are the topics in technology. And the topics seemed to be twofold last year. It was AI and layoffs.
Right.
Layoffs still a little bit in the tech world. Spotify just did their third round. It was big, 17%. That's not a small number, and so a little bit of that, but I've really been impressed coming out of 2024, a lot of strong articles about a digital transformation outside of AI.
Yeah.
It's been really encouraging to see. I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, do I need to give up digital transformation for AI? And a couple really good stories here. Let me read you some snippets, and we can talk about these. This one is from it's the news article is called Payments. And it's kind of just a financial blog, is essentially, financial paper. But they posted about JP Morgan. They did a healthcare conference. It's one of the biggest healthcare conferences in the nation. And they just kicked off day one. The entire day one was about digital transformation. And it's been incredible. Essentially what they've talked about is how they have really, really grown just by leaning into digital transformation. So 42nd year in a row, JP Morgan has drawn 10,000 attendees. It's a pivotal healthcare conference. And Monday, the integration of technology into healthcare systems was the topic going forward and the strategy of choice. And so really what's happened is the JP Morgan healthcare division has really just leaned into digital transformation, and it seems like they've seen a massive level of growth just in their technology coming out of 2023. And really, it's not integrating AI. It was just making regular UI, UX data flow updates to make things faster, easier for users, more tangible, more accessible. And, according to this, they've already seen about a 14% growth in what they're seeing in just their digital landscape, which is pretty big for such a massive healthcare company,
Yeah. No, and what I loved about what was in that article is bringing in the idea of strategy or strategic thinking, because so much of IT kind of comes down to what you might call tactical thinking. I have a problem. How do I solve this particular problem right now, which is a very tactical decision, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do I approach this one thing? Whereas really we're seeing businesses finally take this shift in digital transformation to strategic thinking to say, what are my long-term goals for the IT department, for my technology group? And you really hit it on the head, really prioritizing user experience, really prioritizing data integrity, data flow, performance. All of these things, I think, are showing this shift from a more tactical thinking, how do I solve this problem that's right in front of my face, to a more strategic style of thinking of how do I position myself to have to solve less problems?
Yeah.
How do I position myself to be able to leverage this data that I have, and even leverage tools like AI? The AI is like any technology tool where there's the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, right? And so you have to be feeding your AI models and training your AI models on good data, and you have to be training them in a smart way. And the way to expose your business and how that should be done is through digital transformation.
Yeah.
By doing all of these things that you're mentioning in that article first, and then it's going to be much clearer, how do I integrate AI into this overall picture, rather than a very tactical way of thinking about it, which is, how can I use AI to solve this problem right in front of me, right?
100%. Yeah. And I'm not sure if I sent you this article, but I thought it was fascinating to exactly what you're saying. AEC, the Atomic Energy Commission, has also posted an article in the BDC network. So that's Building, Design, and Construction, kind of a news, outlet, same kind of blog focused around, building, design, and construction. And they talk about everything that you're saying, what AEC leaned into that had a massive impact in the growth of their space. And, just by efficiency, is that they were very tactical in finding ways to implement digital transformation in ways in which took work off of their people's plates and allowed them to focus on the most important things. I think a lot of times when people, especially AI, it's always the topic is AI going to take our jobs? AI going to take our jobs? I think that what AI is going to do is it's going to allow us to focus on the most important things as humans. What is the most important thing that I can put my time in? And then, what can I automate? And the AEC did it was really interesting. There's three things. So it said here that the shift didn't happen overnight. Old habits die hard, right? A lot of people, we talk about that. We want to make the same thing work. Finally, they realized it didn't. They embraced digital transformation in the AEC, and they did three things. They chose the right technology providers. So they use cloud software. They modeled after industry leaders, and and then the last thing it says that they did is they balanced between using AI and digital transformation together. And so really what they did is they embraced AI, or they embraced digital transformation, and then they're finding ways to integrate AI as a secondary technology platform into what they're already doing in their digital transformation. And it's making a huge difference,
Yeah. Well, and I think that just reiterates what we're talking about today, which is that the digital transformation, I think, has to come first before the conversation about AI gets started. And something else that you kind of alluded to there was choosing the right providers, and to me, that is key because there are a lot of technology partners out there. You have big AWS, Azure, all these different cloud services, and all of them have vendors that are trained on them on how to implement these, right? But picking the right one is key. And so, it kind of brings us into what we do at where we work, which is technical consulting. Picking that right partner to be the technical consultant for you is key, because the reality is that setting up digital transformation, getting the plan together, putting the plan in action, this all takes a lot of people and a lot of work. But once it's all in place and it's all moving, then it really takes many fewer people in order to maintain it and to continue the transformation. And that's where having a good partner, a good provider of these services is key, because as a technical consultant, that's what we want to do. We want to come in, we want to help you get to where you're going, and then hand off what we built with you together. And it brings up a big key of co-innovation, where if you are having the right partner, then you and your technology partner are going to work together to co-innovate the best solution that fits with your digital transformation strategy, which aligns with your long-term business goals. Right. So I think all of these things are really key. And it's just so exciting to me that all of these big companies are coming out and are finally saying, we get it. We understand the importance of this, and we're really going to implement it, because what that means is that, we have articles about it. That means there's going to be more opportunities for people like us to add value to companies that are ready to take this step into the digital transformation, and then obviously, into the AI space as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it's really encouraging for a lot of businesses, because, I do think that the business world lends itself to, there's a little bit of copycat thinking. And I think that when you see such big industries lean back into digital transformation, I think that gives a lot of confidence to those mid-level businesses right now who have been struggling and toggling between the idea of, do we kind of still go all in on digital transformation. I think it really kind of probably provides a lot of confidence of, what? If the main industry leaders aren't backing off of digital transformation, why should we, right? And I think what we're seeing, if anything, is that a lot of big companies lean back in and go, okay, JP Morgan Healthcare, they basically leaned back in and said, okay, we have something good now, but we can make it even better. Let's just lean into maximizing efficiency. And it worked, and I think that that's just going to give a lot of confidence to other businesses. And, another article we talked, we took a look at was in CIO, which talked about 3 key digital transformation priorities for 2024. So I think that these are great. So it says here 94% of executives that they surveyed said they have plans to increase their investment in IT or emerging technologies. 80% said they plan to increase investment in AI. So really what that's telling me is 94% of industry leaders are saying, hey, we're still committed to IT and resourcing our technologies. And a lot are saying we're going to come alongside of that with AI. And, there's 3 general things in this article, and I think that they're great. So they first say lean into, some AI. There's 6 AI work streams that you can lean into. So these are 3 things to lean into for digital transformation. So that's 1. 2, though, is drive business impacts by closing operational and security gaps which is a lot of what we're talking about. And then 3, develop transformation leaders to drive the more initiatives. And so, I think we've brought this article up before. It's a pretty popular article, I believe, in the New York Times, that talks about how like 90% of digital transformations fail. And the entire reason why, if you read the article and you dive into the data, is just bad leadership. So I think that third point is really, really important. So, 3 things you could do. See how AI not replaces your technology, but integrates into what you're doing with your growth into IT. Lean into having the right people, and then just leaning into the right streams, the right places where IT can, where digital transformation can really make a difference,
Yeah. I mean, you brought up so many really good points there. I was just thinking about, how the AI thing, and 90% of digital transformations fail because of a lack of leadership. This is, I think, underscores what we've said many times, which is that communication is one of the biggest keys in technology. So many people that aren't technologists think of it as like magic. It's something that can solve your problem without you having to do anything. But the reality is that the underlying nature of reality has not changed. AI is another tool, just like the horse and buggy people were screaming about how they were all going to lose their jobs when the car came in. They were right. Yeah. But it's not that those people can never work again. It's that they have to have new skill sets. And it's exactly what you said. It opens up their ability to work on higher value things. And so I think the biggest key is the embracing of technology and digital transformation, and to let go of the fear of what does this mean for me personally, if I'm in a job that's going to be automated by AI. One they always talk about is they say, software development's going to go away because the AI can write code. And if anybody that works in software development and has ever worked with some of these AI tools, it's kind of laughable, right? It's like, sure, if I tell it, write this kind of algorithm using this kind of technique in this language, it's going to give me something pretty good. But if you say build this website so that it can, take orders and to have the nuance that is specific for your business, AI is so far away from that it's not even on the horizon, the ability for AI to go that deep. And so there's always going to be a need for people, one, to pull out the information from the business about what is it that you do. Let's try to strip down your business into your core competencies, right? And then let's figure out how we can use technology to automate the pieces that we can, and also codify the processes that you've built that we know work, because your business works, right? It's not, I'm going to solve all your problems with a magic bullet. It's that I'm going to take what you're doing well, and I'm going to allow you to do that even better using these technology tools. And so I think that all of the fear surrounding this is unfounded. I think that, yes, there are going to be people that lose their jobs over it. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to have to retrain and figure out new things that they're going to do. But ultimately, it's going to be better for everyone, because now you are going to be able to work on, like, instead of having to, for me personally, instead of having to think through the details of how do I write this algorithm, it's let me focus more on the customer. Let me focus more and spend more time understanding what they do and understanding what they need, and less time on the technical implementation of some of these details that right now takes quite a few very smart people a good amount of time, right? And so I think all of those things are a really good point, and it just, I think, reiterates what we've been saying a lot, especially the part about leadership, which is that communication is the biggest key. And I would say the biggest part of leadership is being a good communicator, right?
Yeah.
Being able to communicate with people internally, externally, and being able to share that vision that you have, right? It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing to be able to use words and other communication tools to show people that vision and to get them on board with it. And so I think the digital transformation leadership is going to be key. And you know, I you know, bringing it back to what we do digital transformation, and we want to be your partner and to help you and your organization develop that leadership. And I think that is the biggest key going forward is how do you learn to be a leader in the digital transformation space for your company?
Yeah, no, 100%. Listen, you know, the last podcast of last year, you know, you were out on vacation. I went pretty hard at the software developers, you know, just kind of saying, listen, if you're worried about your job, you know, and I think everything you said was, listen, the amount of times I still fix GitHub Copilot a day is just, you know, I mean, sometimes I turn it off because it's like, dude, what you're suggesting, you're so far off from where I'm trying to go right now. Just stop. You know, and so I think that's a great point. And, you know, what I talked about last time is, listen, you know, yeah, I think it's pretty clear that what these companies are figuring out is like, do we need the like guy who just knows React and only React and can just code out and React? Not really, you know. You know, there's always going to be need for some, you know, people like that, but really, like if you could just go learn like like if you can know what's going on under the hood, right? If you can really actually know JavaScript, if you understand some computer science, if you can understand, you know, what's happening in memory and how all the queues work and how the browser works and browser compatibility, these types, companies are always going to need those people. It's never going to go away. And you and I have been in enough, you know, digital transformation projects to know too that the amount of times that the actual end user, the stakeholders, don't even know what they want. I mean, half of our job, I would say sometimes more than half of our job, is just trying to help stakeholders think through their implementations and what they actually want out of their products. Because listen, if we just gave stakeholders some AI and just let them write it, we're still going to have to come in because I promise you they're going to change that thing 200 times because they have no idea what they want digitally until it comes out, you know? And then, I mean, how many times have you worked on something, we did the exact user story and then they came back like, yeah, that's actually not quite what we were wanting, you know? I mean, and so much of that is part of digital transformation. That's not going to go away because AI is not going to be like, I know what you need. I understand your business. You know, I understand that Susan from accounting expects the button to be right there. And we move the button and now Susan doesn't know what to do. Now she's frustrated. So we got to put the button back. And then, you know, you spend 3 days trying to figure out what color they want to make the button in. You know, these things aren't going to go away, you know? And so I 100% agree with you on that. And I think that, for anybody, you know, looking at a digital transformation project in 2024, fire away. I mean, that's really if you're confident that it can make your business better. And that's where too, you know, I had this conversation with there's a very big, I don't think we can say their name. There's a very big gas station chain that has a corporate office here in Tulsa, and they have a really interesting engineering strategy where they have some internal engineers, but they hire a lot of consultants to come in as well. Our company provides some consultants and others provide consulting services. And I had a chance to talk with, you know, one of the leaders in their digital space not too long ago. And I just kind of asked him why not just keep everybody in house. He made a really good point. He said the reason why we love bringing in consultants is because consultants have just a different way of looking at our problems than people who are just here, for years on end. They come in and they just see things a little bit differently. And the other thing that he talked about is a lot of times with software engineers, and this is so true, it's kind of just this is probably true too of like, people who learn trades, but software, you can tend to like learn a language or learn a skill, and then it takes so much energy to learn another one that you just kind of stick with what you know. And then 5 years later, it's like you want to do things the way that you know it, but there's a better technology out there and you just haven't quite embraced it. And what he said is consultants push us to use the right resource, use the right technologies, because a lot of our people just kind of want to stick with what we already know. And so, he kind of mentioned it creates a hodgepodge of coding repositories, but at the end of the day, it really helps them in maintaining the best possible outcomes. And I thought it was really smart,
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that assessment. The technical consulting, sometimes it gets a bad rap, and there are firms that have created this problem of it getting a bad rap.
Right.
We all know the story of the technical consultant that promises the world, says it's going to cost nothing, gets in the door, starts changing everything. You get to an untenable state where you can't manage it anymore because of what they've done. And then they're going to come back and say, okay, well, now we need more money. Right. And everybody has heard this story. Some people have lived that story. Mm-hmm. So it is something where there is a kind of a negative connotation around technical consulting. But I think what that leader was telling you is exactly right. It gives you another perspective. It allows you to manage your resources more effectively. Yeah. And it really gives you the ability to bring in new talent, new ideas at a lower cost, right? Because the cost of having your own FTEs, of bringing people in, onboarding and all of that is just higher than it is to go to a vendor and use that vendor's services. So I think exactly what you were saying is right, and that this leader is pretty smart about this. And this is what I would like to get all of the business people savvy to, is that technical consultants are something that are going to be here to stay, because the reality is that you can't have a 200-man IT department if you're a 1,000-employee company. You know what I mean? Right. Like if you're making widgets and IT is 30% of your workforce, you have a problem, right? But you need that many people and that many viewpoints with how big the technology space has gotten. Right. The technology space, exactly what you were saying. People get stuck into their ruts. People learn what they learn. When what you have in your toolbox is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? And all of these things mean that you need more people, more points of view to get the very best technology that you can get. And that having all of those people be in-house people, having all of those people being FTEs is just not a sustainable vision for your company's health. It makes a lot more sense to say, I have a need, I have a project, I have something that I want to work on, I have something I want to do. Let me see what's out there as far as technical consultants go. Bring in a few different viewpoints, get some points of view, go with somebody, get the project done, and then fold that in to your overall digital transformation IT strategy. And I think that you will find that your technology people will be happier because they're not going to be completely stressed out with unreasonable expectations. And I think that the business people will be happier too, because it's going to affect your bottom line, even if it's not something that's direct and measurable. easily understood value proposition. It is a value proposition that we're offering.
100%. No, I'm 100% with you, and I'm really looking forward to this year. Bringing in some dynamic guests, talking about these different things, talking about perspective from, everybody in between in the digital transformation world, from, the stakeholders to, the developers and, some more product owners and managers and some more people in AI. And really just breaking these things apart, because I really think at the end of the day, I think digital transformation is going to have a big year in 2024. I think AI is going to continue to have a big year in 2024. And I think that overall, if you're a company and you're really gearing up for a big year, you got to lean into technology, and hopefully we can provide some perspective over the year on just how to do that. So I'm looking forward to this year, man. It's going to be a good podcast.
Yeah, me too. I would really like to see us try and find some large language model AI specialists that want to talk a little bit more intelligently about the nuts and bolts of some of these, Chat GPT and all of these type things. And more business leaders as well. We've had quite a few technologists on and relatively fewer people that are on the business side. I would like to get a lot of their takes as well. So no, I completely agree. It's a really exciting year. And, I think it is a year poised for growth. We live in a world that is cyclical in nature right now. We're going into a cycle of an election year. And I think in general, you can notice that businesses start to become more risk averse as elections draw near, something they call regime uncertainty.
Right.
And so I think that what we're going to see is the first half of 2024 is people saying, I need to get these projects over the line. I need to figure this stuff out before we get into the later half of the year and we're dealing with all of these issues that are going to come along with the political landscape.
100%. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, for sure.
Very interesting. Yeah, I completely agree. Listen, if you're looking for digital transformation 2024, just pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Well, let me say this: get the right leadership in place, and then pull the trigger. And I think you can find a lot of success. So, man, I'm looking forward to it, Ken. It's going to be a really, really good year. We will be back here in a couple weeks with our first guest of the year. It's going to be an awesome podcast. We're looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the SEQTEK Podcast.
Yeah, thanks.